Hello, you beautiful people. Welcome to another episode of the Roaring Agents podcast. Today, I'm here with Julie Younger, and I am excited about this. She is a real estate. Well, I'm not going to get there yet. What I want to say is my first year in real estate. It took me 8 months to take my first day of vacation because I was scared of not being around. And the one day that I was not around, I lost a client. So today I'm talking to Julie Younger. She works in 3 states, and those states do not all connect. We're in the Portland area, and a lot of agents do work Portland and Vancouver, but you've decided to go to Arizona as well. And I really want to talk about that because that would make me anxious. That would be very difficult for me. So welcome to the podcast. Please tell me how you've decided to go to Arizona as well and expand your empire, so to speak.
Yeah, which it's kind of crazy how life happens. Because I never envisioned actually it on the path that I'm on right now. I actually went to I don't know how far back you want me to start or whatever, but I've been in real estate 17 years, actually a general contractor, and back in 2005, and then in 2006, I got my real estate license to sell the homes that I build, because my dad's a builder. My stepmom at the time was selling the homes my dad was building. So I wanted to do that too. So I got my license in Oregon and Washington in 2006. Really wasn't a good time. Yeah, right. Really wasn't, didn't get my license to, actually go down that path of, hard work and retaining clients and things like that. I was really just trying to market the homes that I build, because who best to sell your own house, right? You know how it's built and stuff. So fast forward, in 2010, I actually branched off onto my own and just was Julie Younger Realty. And so then I was, on my own, doing my own thing, and I needed some CE credits in 2018. I'm skipping through a whole bunch of stuff here.
Sure.
In 2018, I needed CE credits for Oregon, and there was a gal that was putting on a investment property 3-hour CE credit in person. I'm like, perfect, I'll do that. And so when I went there because, multiple reasons, right? I needed CE credits, and I was interested in getting my real estate license in Arizona because that's where my husband grew up, and my mother-in-law is living there, and my daughter is going to school there at Northern Arizona University. And so I felt like, we've been going there all the time because my husband grew up there, and we would go to, his mom and dad's house for, all my kids, years of vacations. They're like, can we go somewhere else? I'm tired of going to Arizona. I'm like, no, it's hot and sunny and it's great there. So, we went, I went to this meeting, and then I ended up, getting my license in Arizona. And since then, it's not been a secret that I'm licensed there. I post about it, and well, okay, let me back up. My first transaction I ever did there, it was because one of my clients in Washington reached out to me, and she says, Julie, we have a situation with my mom who lives in Mesa. She's got a domestic abuse situation. We need to sell her house now and get her out of there and bring her here. And I'm like, well, she goes, do you know of any real estate agents? And I'm like, oh, well, I'm licensed in Arizona, but full disclosure, I've never done a deal there yet, and she's like, I don't care. It's you. I know you'll do a great job. And we ended up selling that house actually the day the sign went in the yard. And then that agent actually is actually here with me at EXP with in my organization. And now I have a team of like 11 agents in Arizona. And so you ask me, how can I be licensed in all these states? Well, it's connections, it's communication and collaboration, to be honest. I do have a very ideal situation to where, it's a 2.5 hour flight to Arizona, to the Phoenix area. And usually if it's not at midnight, my mother-in-law will come and pick me up. Sometimes I'll have to Uber, but I do have a home there we stay with my mother-in-law because we love to spend time with her. And I do actually now have two rentals there, a long-term and a short-term rental there. But so I am fulfilling I really want to invest in, investment properties. But yeah, so I do have a car there that I, just get in and go. So you have to have the right setup, because if you don't have those things, it could be stressful for sure and expensive.
Well, I think one of the things that really got me to reach out to you is I think I saw a post where you're like, all right, quick trip to Arizona. I've got a listing appointment. And I was like, wait, what? Most agents won't go out to the coast to go list a house because it's too far for,
Yeah.
there's that time and everything, but you're not just giving out a referral, which is what most agents would do. You're taking that time. So you're doing a lot of business in Oregon and Washington. You're doing business down there and you're flying down there. Like I said, that organizing of schedules, because this market, while it's not crazy, it's still hot and buyers are demanding, people are demanding, and you're thousands of miles away. How do you manage those expectations with all your clients? And that obviously they love you. If they're in Washington, when you do Arizona, they love you, right?
Yeah.
So how do you get these systems?
Yeah. So what I do is, like, I actually was, I was down there, and I'm starting to go down there. My coach, is telling me, get on a consistent, cause he asked me, he says, okay, sometimes I just fly in and fly out. Right. And that's what I had been doing in the past. He asked me, he goes, when you go there, are you like totally calm, cool, collective, or you have your same regimen that you have here, your same systems in place? And I said, no, I'm a hot mess. I mean, and he goes, well, I think you should start scheduling out like 6 months out your flights, your times, so and then when you go there, I have 3 screens in my office here in Oregon. And so he's like, go get your screens, set up your situation to where you're just flying in, you can't miss a beat. And my husband's totally on board with it, because he's like, yeah, you should just leave your clothes there. And I'm like, and go get some clothes and just leave them there. And I'm like, oh, so 1 week a month, I just wear the same outfit that I did the last month? And he's like, yeah, why not? So I'm getting systems in place that I never had before. And every day, every month or time I go there, it's getting better. So this last April, beginning of April, I was there for a whole week. And what that did, the week went by so darn fast. Seriously, it wasn't enough. I was meeting with agents. I was meeting with all my team that's there. I was going to past clients, holding babies, and, passing out my pop-by gifts, because that's how I do my business is by referral. You got to plan out what you're doing, but at the same time, you got to be spontaneous. So I did get a deal under contract because I had some buyers that first-time home buyers that I got a referral from one of my clients in Washington. And of course, I do the call over the phone, talk to them. What do they want? I set them up on a search, and then I explained to them right off the bat that, and they lived there. They live in Arizona, and they're looking for, I have a search set up, so they're wanting to go see stuff. So if it's a situation where I'm not there, then I reach out to my team and I ask them if they'll go open a door for me. And of course, I compensate them for that. I'm not asking them for time, that and not, getting paid or whatever. But I've done that happened several times where I'm facilitating them getting in a home, but I'm finding one of my teammates and, to help me open that door. Well, when I was there, I reached out to my clients and said, what do you want to see while I'm here? Let's do this. And I went and showed them 2 properties and they fell in love with one. We wrote an offer and beat out 2 other offers. And we close in May. And it's like, it went like clockwork. I was able to schedule the home inspection while I was still there. So I was able to do that. In the past, if I need someone to go to the home inspection, I do that. I get someone to do that too. And the funny thing is it's a really great feeling when your client says to you, from the referral source, right, where whoever recommended me said that I'm the best, I have an amazing team, and I'll take care of you. And so hearing my new clients say, I know that you have an awesome team down here, so we know we're in good hands. I mean, I don't have to pretend that I'm somebody I'm not, so.
Which happens a lot in real estate.
Yeah.
So what I love about this is that so many of us, like I said, the first time I take a vacation, just took a day off. It wasn't even a vacation. I just went up to the mountain on a title company retreat thing, and I wasn't available to my client. And my client ended up writing an offer with the builder. And that really messed me up. I was like, I have to be available 24/7. And I think a lot of agents get in that fear is I have to be available for my clients all the time. And right. I have to be the only one to do everything. I can't hand anything off. And that's what I love about your story is you've figured out that handoff. You're doing something that's connecting with people that they trust you enough that you can have somebody else do part of it, but you're still involved. That's what I'm loving about the story.
Well, you hit, I can unpack that. Okay.
Please.
I've not always been like this.
I don't know. We're getting juicy now. I like this.
Oh yeah. I have to tell you, when I first came to EXP, I sold 16 homes and, I thought I was rich. But I was a hot mess. I had landed myself in the hospital in the ER where my heart was just beating like crazy fast. And I was panicking. I was having a panic attack. And it was my coach, Jackie Bowman, who basically talked me down and calm. And then she helped me put systems and things in place. And, I do.
What year was this?
Pardon me?
What year was this again?
What year is this?
What year was that when you had the hospital?
2019.
19. Okay.
2019. Yep. And I sold 16 homes, but I was a hot mess. I was, just, it was scary actually. Because I was trying to do everything and I was just getting, back into real estate, full time. My husband's doing the construction. I'm doing just real estate and I was all in, right? I mean, I'm journaling every day still since January 19th, haven't missed a day. And I'm journaling, I'm going to all the classes, I'm learning, I'm trying to implement things that I'm learning. I'm, collaborating, meeting new people. The referrals were coming in, people were reaching out from social media posts I was doing. I was coming from all sides and I mean, 16 deals, that was a lot, I thought. Well, now I consistently do 30, 32 deals a year and I focus on, other stuff as well. And I'm not a hot mess anymore, but or maybe I am to some degree, just on a different level. My coach, Jackie, she asked me, at one time, she said, "Are you using your transaction coordinator?" And I'm like, yeah, a little. And she was like so calm, cool, and collected. She goes, "Well, you don't have to use your TC." She goes, "But you're not going to grow." And I'm like, like what? I want to grow. And so she's like, you got to leverage. You've got to leverage. And if you leverage, you will grow. And what people want to know is that you're there for them, right? But I do still struggle with doing it all myself and being there, 24/7. I do. I am not one of those agents that says I work until 5 and then I don't answer my phone, or, I'm not structured like that, because I am available all the time for my clients. I really am. And I feel like, because that's kind of how I operate. I want people, I'm just a very impatient person. So if I text or email somebody, I'm hoping that they're going to get back to me that day. That's just my personality, because that's how I operate. If I see a text or something, I want to make sure that I respond, because somebody's obviously wanting an answer or reaching out or whatever. And that's just my personality. And so I think for me, my superpower, if you want to say, is communication, collaboration, and just being authentic. And I've realized that people want to relate to you if you're real and you're honest. And I don't want somebody to see some post that I did that I just totally like my mate, put on, I did some filter that doesn't look like me, right? I did a event on Tuesday. It got done at like 3:30, a real estate event. I was meeting clients and a lender at 5 o'clock for happy hour, but I'm doing this gator grinder race in May, and I've got to get some swimming in because it's a swim, bike, run race. And I'm like, I got to get my 200 meters in. So I quickly ran to the gym, swam my laps, put my hair in a pony, and went to my meeting. I'm like, and I changed my clothes out of the thing I was wearing for the event. And I'm like, this is me. This is what you get.
You know what? That's an essential part, is that we want everyone to like us. We want everyone to give us business. So we're what happens is we're afraid we're not going to look a certain way. So I have to look professional. I have to look this way or that way. But if we know who we are, then we are just who we are. And we're going to attract the people who attract to us, is the theory.
Yes.
But when you're a desperate agent, when you need the deals, you're like, I have to do this. I have to look just right. And no one can know all the things that are going on. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And that's a hard way to live. You can only live that way for so long.
Well, there's power in saying no, because I think I just told, I have a group call with my team on Thursdays. And I just said this yesterday. I was sharing this story. A couple of years ago, I did a transaction and I represented the buyer. It was a referral to me. I represented the buyer, someone moving across country. And I didn't agree with some of the things that he had done in the transaction. And I basically, at the end of the transaction, I told the listing agent, I said, can you give me a 1-day code so I can tell my buyer how to get in, have my buyer get the key? And I did. I got the 1-day code, shared it with my buyer, and I never talked to him again. Because you know why? Because if he's like that, then he's surrounding people himself like that. And I don't want a referral with more people like that. So I'm just like, done. I don't want to associate with people that don't align. There were some things that I just thought that weren't fair, that he, because even though you represent one party, you still want to make it a win-win for everybody. And that is, both agents are there to accommodate a buyer and a seller. They both want the same thing. One wants to sell, one wants to buy. We're in the middle, navigating the paperwork and the communication. And when one party just doesn't do something that I just don't think is right, it's like, I just didn't want that energy in my space. So I had to say no. And I never looked back. And since then, my business has just grown. It's like, it didn't stop me. I think it helped me. I was able to say, and I'm a relationship-based agent and a referral only. So I'm doing pop buys. I'm, texting, calling, checking in, stopping by my clients. I mean, that's how I make sure they know they're important to me. And that client, I was like, no, I'm not coming to your house.
My first principal brokers told me, if you work with jackasses, they're going to refer you jackasses.
Yes, 100%.
And that's a nice frame to,
yeah.
Because what I feel like is, until you say no to a potential client, you're not really a real estate agent. You're an order taker.
Yeah.
If you'll work with anyone, you'll show up for anybody. And generally speaking, right? But you don't have a lot of control if you don't have standards of who you're going to work with.
Right.
Of course, we need paychecks and all these things. So we make justifications, but when you get to that point where you can say, no, I'm just not really going to work with you. That's where you have power in this business, I think.
Yeah.
You mentioned, so you got licensed in 2006.
Yes.
2018 is where you realized you needed systems.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is really important. I talk about these 3 mountains that real estate agents have to kind of scale if they want to have a long-term business. The first one is Mount Action. This is where you're just reactive. You got a thing, you go do a thing. You go call some people, you do whatever.
Yeah.
And a lot of agents kind of get stuck on there. Now, it sounds like you were having, you were working with, selling new construction, and it was a family thing and all that, right? Is that what you're doing for most of that time?
Yes. Yes.
So that was fine. You had this level and that's what it was. But what happens is if you just live on Mount Action, you're always reactive and life is hard, which is kind of what happened to you in 2019. It got really hard.
Yeah.
And then someone got you over to Mount Vision. Vision is where you set up systems. This is where you start doing client management, client retention. This is where your vision and your systems changes Mount Action, because now I'm guessing that you kind of have a lot of the actions you do that are dialed in.
Yeah.
They're just kind of like, I know what I'm doing here. I've got my to-do list, and it's just what it is. And it's not so much you're reacting as you're doing what your plan is that you have on Mount Vision. Does this kind of explain what happened in 2019?
Yes, this is 100%. So in 2019, when I was, having my panic attacks and doing all the things, I actually, so I moved my license from myself in November. Oh, excuse me. In November, I moved my license to EXP. And so I committed to myself in my mind that I was going to give, because I was a jack of all trades and a master of none. I wanted to focus on one thing. Told my husband, you do construction, I'm going to do real estate. I'm going to see if I can be successful at real estate, because I've had this license all these years. Why not? And so I committed. And once I never have committed to anything that except for marrying my husband, right? So I actually started doing the work. I was doing the actions, like you said. I was trying new things, and I wasn't afraid to try. I remember Chris Blythe with First American. He was like so impressed that I was gonna just get out there and shoot a live video or and post it on social media. But I was trying new things, and I was a stalker on social media before. I had hardly any friends. I just watched but all the classes that I was taking inside the EXP platform in the world, I was like, oh, I need to get out there and do video. I need to start. And then so I was trying new things, and I've realized the type of person that I am is I try and get more knowledge, more information, and then go out. I mean, I don't even know how many books that first year, and I continue to read and do Audible. I'm constantly trying to, as my coach says now, Hank Avink, who I stalked for a while, all of his YouTube videos, learning, he goes, Julie, you don't need any more knowledge, but what you do is you fill your blank times with, a YouTube video to learn, and you're filling the gaps is what I'm doing. Is I have the base, but I'm filling in the gaps with knowledge to help me grow and make me stronger. And so I was doing the work. And then when I had my coach, Jackie, who I had for 3 years, and she was basically, okay, you need to, let's get your database from like 3 different places all into one. Let's start marketing to your database with magnets and, things like that. And let's get you a buyer's presentation. Let's get you a listing presentation, right? So I'm getting these things. So yes, now I have these things. When I get a new buyer, I send them my buyer presentation that is basically my resume. It tells people about my family, my past history, how I do business. It's a PowerPoint. I have the same thing with my listing presentation. So yes, I got systems, like you said, in place to where now it's like when I get a new client, this is how I roll. This is what I do. And then she got me into introducing, at the time that I do the call, I explain to people that I am your agent. I'm going to be your agent. I'm going to write the offer. I'm going to negotiate, because that's my favorite part. But I also might not be able to open that door for you. And I have a team of people that will, be able to get you in so you can check it out. And then if something that you like, you can bring me back if you want a second look or whatever. But I don't want to hold you up getting into something that you think might be the house. So I want you to know that there might be somebody besides me that I trust with you. And that's how you explain it. And then from there, you're just like, oh, no worries. And they know that if you trust that person, then they trust that person. And you got to do it from the get-go, not later. Communication. But I learned that from Jackie. And she just leverages, and she was very instrumental in how I am, what EXP calls an icon producing agent, 3 years in a row. So
yeah, the icon agents for EXP, I think it's top 2 or 3% of all agents. And we have 85,000 agents. So there's not a lot of icons.
7,000 now. Yeah. We're still growing. Yep. It's awesome. Yeah. It's an honor to be in that class. And I have to tell you, Mike, this year, I've actually stepped into a leadership type of mentality to where, oh my gosh, people are like looking to me as some kind of, like leader or, influencer or whatever. So I'm like embracing it. I'm like, okay, you want to be up here? I'll take your hand. This is what I did. It's no secret. Come on, let's do it. Let's come together. And because one thing I noticed with Jackie was she was constantly, everybody learns different, everybody needs different things. But for me, she knew me well. She knew that what I needed was, I want her to connect me with people that she, my coach Hank calls it social currency, right? So she has a coach, right? She was going to different events and learning and filling her cup. So I knew that she would spill that out onto me. And then I would take it and spill it out onto my people, right? So it's like, I might be paying for coaching and some of my people can't afford coaching. So let me tell them what I just learned that I paid for and connect them with the right people in their world at the right time. So, it's about giving and that's how I guess that's how I roll. I don't know.
Well, I think that's awesome. You mentioned journaling. And I feel that journaling is super important for self-awareness. What a lot of our issues or because we have blinders on. And this is where the value of a coach is. Coach can help you see the field a little bit more. But one of the things that you can do on your own is journal. And we have this kind of magical thinking. I'm going to do this and something's going to happen and then this will happen. And the journaling goes, hey, you have to write out what the thought is. You're like, maybe I don't know exactly what I thought I did, or maybe I didn't see those things.
Yeah.
Do you find journaling brings you a ton of self-awareness?
I can give you 2 examples. I'm so excited to talk about the journaling. I could give you 2 examples of what has transpired from my journaling. And I'm rereading my journals now because I want to find out, is my mood swings in cycles? Does it have to do with the weather? Is it spring, winter? What kind of action was I doing? I mean, I started in 2019. And so this has been carried through the pandemic, right? How was I feeling? Was I nervous? Was I scared? What was I doing to stay in motion? And by the way, remind me to come back to that thought. But when I started journaling, I committed to, because I read that in a book, right? I've read The Miracle Morning, Think and Grow Rich, the Go Givers, like one of my favorite books, all these books. And so journaling was something that I committed. I said, I'm going to do. And like I said, here we are, April 21st, 2023, and I haven't missed a day. I take the journal everywhere. Funny fact, I did actually had my journal in my luggage to go to Arizona for the week. And I actually put it back out. Oh, I took the wrong book. I was going to take the one that I was reading, rereading. And I ended up keeping that one, and I put the other one back, and the one that I'm actually journaling. So I actually went and got paper. So now I have this paper that's stuck in, because I didn't stop journaling. I just didn't have it in my normal book or whatever. But anyways, I wrote in my book at the end of every night, because I journal. Well, I've actually switched off, now I journal at night before I go to bed. But I would say I'm going to make $100,000 no matter what. I'm committed. These are the words. I'm committed to making $100,000 no matter what. Mike, I hadn't sold a house. I had no idea how many houses that was going to take. I just knew that I wrote down, I'm committed to making $100,000 no matter what. The end of that year, I made 150.
Wow.
I mean, that's powerful, right? Okay. So here I am. Here's my second thing. Here I am rereading my journals, March 21st, something like that, of 2019. I come across a sentence that said, I'm watching Hank Avink and all his YouTubes. I really like what, his style. I mean, this is paraphrasing here, but I am going to coach with him he is going to be my coach one day, but I need to get a few more transactions under my belt, is I think of what I wrote, or a few more sales or whatever. So funny thing is, like March 1st or something like that, I didn't even know I wrote that, right? I officially hired Hank Avink as my coach. No joke. Wow. And then I reread that. I actually took a screenshot of my actual journal and I sent it to him, and he's like, wow. I mean, that is powerful. I had no idea I wrote that. And it was 4 years later, he's my coach. That's powerful.
Those are power of affirmations. Yes,
the power of affirmation. So write down, I have one other thing that I can share with you that was amazing. I was trying to reach Icon, right? Icon, you get all the money that you give EXP, they give it back to you in the form of stock. And I'm like, well, I'm going to reward myself. I'm going to get a new Yukon. I want a brand new Yukon. So in 2020, I iconed and for the first time, and my reward was I'm going to buy a Yukon. So but in 2019, my screensaver was a brand new Yukon, right? My screensaver, it was everywhere. I saw it everywhere. I would write it in my journal, right? This is what I wanted. This is what I'm going to get. And I was I was in one of my husband's job sites, and a contractor hit my Suburban. I had a white Suburban, or not white Suburban, my Tahoe. I had an older off-white Tahoe, 2019, and some contractor hit my truck, and so I took it into the auto body shop to get it fixed, and they told me, okay, just bring it in. We'll have your rental car, everything all set up. So I get in there, and that morning, the only vehicle in the parking lot is a brand new Yukon. I'm not making this up. And I go into the auto body shop, and I'm like, is that my rental car? And they're like, yeah. I never told them about what I wanted. I didn't say it needed to be an SUV, nothing. And then it was because it was around Christmas time, I got to drive that for a month. A brand new Yukon. I think it had like 50 miles on it. I am not making this up. And so because I was doing videos, live videos, I actually drove away and then had to get out of my truck and do this live Facebook Zoom on what is happening here. I'm driving my dream car. This is like the most amazing thing ever. And I'm not, that's crazy to me. And now
the universe listens. The universe listens.
Yeah, the universe listens. I do have a 2020, my dream car outside there. I love it. But yes, it's you write it down, you think it, you put it into motion. You do the work.
There's something that hit me a few weeks ago, was the difference between hope and faith. And it's a fine line that I think we cross and don't realize it. I think faith is, I believe it's going to happen, so I'm going to do all the work that I need to do to get it done. Hope is, I'm going to show up. I think it might happen, so I'm going to stick around in case it happens. I'll do the open house in case it happens, in case I get a client, versus the faith. I'm going to put out 7 signs. I'm going to go knock on doors. I'm going to send emails. I'm going to do these things because I believe, I have faith it's going to show up. Now, The result could be 0. The faith person says, well, and not this time, but next time. And the hope person goes, I kind of knew it wasn't going to happen. And the thing is we cross over from faith to hope and don't even realize it. And we just start showing up.
Yeah.
But if we can keep the faith, doing the work is so much easier when you believe it's going to happen. 100%. In real estate, it can be tough where you get a lot of no's, things don't go your way, and you can kind of fall back. What I'm kind of hearing from you is you have that faith. You have that faith in yourself because of your past experiences, maybe because of other people around you, but you go do the work. And so you keep the faith, and it's a lot easier. And then you keep building, this happens, and it keeps growing that ability to have faith. This is all going to work out, which is why you did EXP. This is why you did Arizona. This is why you're doing the things you're doing, because you have that faith and you keep that faith going. Does that hit you at all?
Yes, 100%. 100%. I feel like it's in my mind, I feel like it's called, you fail forward, right? I mean, actually, the more times you fail, the more you learn to perfect what you're doing, right? So I'm a glass half full, not half empty, right? I'm like, you know what? It's okay. I'm going to do it again tomorrow, or I'm going to try it this way, or it's okay. In my mind, I believe, and I say this every day when I wake up, I'm like, who am I going to get to serve today? And what am I going to learn? And if I get somebody that says no, or I'm failing, because I'm failing all the time. I'm trying something and it doesn't work. And I'm like, what lesson am I supposed to take away from this today? Because it really will propel you forward if you can use your failures as stepping stones to get to where you are. I mean, like somebody, let's say, for instance, somebody says, I want to go with an agent in Arizona that knows the neighborhood because they live there or whatever. Well, I can't change that in the sense that I don't physically live there all the time. But you know what? I can certainly study up better, on maybe the area or the market or whatever. I mean, take those maybe losses and educate yourself. Okay, I'm not gonna let somebody say that again to me. I'm going to, know that area better inside and out. And, so somebody doesn't have that impression of me. I mean, I'm in Arizona a lot. I sold more business in Arizona than people that live in Arizona that are agents. I mean, it's how you present yourself and that confidence and the it's your energy. And you definitely have to fail forward and try new things and not be afraid, and just know that there's a reason why you didn't get it this time. So what did you take away from it, and how can you make it different and better next time?
As I was going to ask you about your relationship with failure, and that was you answered it right there. I love that. And I think what happens is there's two ways to look at it. And I don't like the word failed because it has so much built into an emotion for a lot of people. But this didn't work, but that doesn't mean you stop.
Right.
And sometimes people are like, maybe this means I need to stop. And that is rarely the case. It's what can I do to get better? What can I do to change this for next time? And it does look like a lot of work. And this goes back to that hope. If people get into real estate going, I hope this works. I hope if I get my license and I go talk to these people, I hope it works.
Yeah.
You are going to have a much harder time than I'm getting into this. I have faith and I'm going to do everything I can and I'll adjust later. And there are people who've left real estate and it was the right thing for them and they weren't a failure. They just went and did something different.
Yeah.
But it's really that action and that attitude going into it.
And it's commitment in your head. You have to start with a commitment, right? You have to commit to giving it. I talked to an agent yesterday that she's in commercial real estate and she does business to business sales, right? And EXP has EXP commercial. And it's and I went down this rabbit hole because I'm like, EXP commercial, I know nothing about EXP commercial. Oh my gosh, I better figure out because I'm going to have a meeting and I better figure it out. So I went down this rabbit hole. I'm watching videos. I'm reaching out to, anybody that I know at EXP that could send me in the right direction. And I ended up, no joke, with there's 3 people that actually brought EXP commercial to EXP. And I ended up on a Zoom call with one of them, 30 minutes. And I'm like, this is like, he's got time for little old me. This is so amazing. But I learned so much about EXP. So yesterday when I chatted with this gal, she said, well, right now, I think I'm going to, I'm committed to this business to business that I'm doing. And so I think I'm going to stay the path. And she goes, I'm committed for 2 years. And this agent is definitely a high D. She's a go-getter. She would be an amazing residential agent. And I'm like, and she's not going to come to EXP now because she has a really great mentor where she's at. Right. And she's like, I'm committed to 2 years. And I said, and I just smiled and I'm like, you'll be back and I'll be right here when you're ready. And she agreed. She goes, yeah, I know, I'll be back. So, but I basically, I can respect that she has committed in her mind to giving something that she is doing, the time. She'll be back sooner than that, but it's still, I don't look at like that was a waste of my time. Oh my gosh. I now have an amazing connection with EXP commercial, and I learned all about EXP commercial. So you want to know? I know, right? I'm just filling my gaps, and that's how I learn. And when I do the, when I was, you gotta commit, and then you gotta implement. So like all the books that I've read, if I wasn't implementing anything, they would just be words that I'm reading. You have to actually take something and try and implement it into your business and give it a try. And also I I'm a huge believer in energy and influence, in, be around people who inspire you and lift you up and help give you, confidence and courage. And that's why, like, Jackie, my coach, she like introduced me to all kinds of amazing people that now are my friends, right? And I mean, get into the groups and the social settings that will help you grow. And so that's definitely, I think, how you have to take action. Like you said, action. That's where I mean, write it down, then start, then the action, and then get your systems and processes so you can scale and you can grow. But it comes from who you are around. If you're around people that are sucking the energy out of you, then you're not going to have enough to, like, I ride my Peloton every morning, and I know that it's going to be an amazing day after I ride that thing, because it gives me energy. It's how I start my day. And you've got to do things that fill your cup,
What brings you joy?
I just volunteered at Rolling Hills Church yesterday. Once a month, I actually volunteer, and we serve older women in and then they have a speaker and all that stuff. And the message yesterday was joy. What brings me joy? Walking with people that inspire me. I guess what brings me joy is helping somebody and then having them say, "You made my day," or "I needed that," or just knowing that I helped somebody. So I wrote down some goals for 2023. And one of my goals was I wanted to help 16 people. And they didn't have to be agents. They just wanted to help 16 people somehow this year. And I go to this quarterly mastermind in Oklahoma with John Kitchens. It's called the Kitchen Table. And Jackie introduced me to it. And now I've been going to it many times. And I try and bring a guest that can, get something from it as well. And I was sharing, it's where you get in this room with a bunch of, like, at first I was in that room and I did not feel like I belonged in that room. That was kind of one of my sayings this year, was get in the rooms you feel you don't belong, because that's where you're going to grow. And I'm in this room, and you get vulnerable because they ask you questions. You have to share, things. And I basically shared to the group, something that you might not think is anything big is huge to some people, right? Like my husband and I, we bulldozed our house in 2012 on Lake Oswego and built new. And when we did it with my credit cards, we sold it for $1.4 million. And I built a house with 0% interest because I shared how I did that. And everybody in that room was just like totally taken back. And I'm like, I didn't think that was a big deal, but apparently the people think it's pretty cool. And one of the agents that's from Ohio, Brian Gara, he called me right after January, and he was asking me questions how I did that. And so I was explaining it a little more, and he's like, "You totally just helped me. If you wouldn't have told me or told us that story, then I wouldn't even be looking at this opportunity that's sitting on my plate." He goes, "I thank you so much." And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I just helped somebody, and it's January 1 or whatever. So that's, I guess, did I answer your question? What brings me joy? I want to help people.
And that's, that service mindset. And I think that's why you brought up the Go Giver. The Go Giver, that book is all about service. I love that book. It's about helping other people. That's why I do this podcast, is I want to help other people.
Yeah.
I had another question. I just lost it. Did you say that all of your business is by referral?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's so many agents who are like, I can't get clients in my city, much less 2 other states. Did going to the other states just come naturally because of referrals? Like you did say that with Arizona, but if you didn't have that, yeah.
Okay. I can tell you, so I'm working on something right now, which is kind of cool. I'm of course trying to icon again. I actually every year so my coach Hank, he says, to put everything on a one sheet. So I have this Excel spreadsheet that I have everything that I own, all of my net worth. He wanted me to look at my net worth, right? Where are you financially, right? Because it's good to know where you are, right? And I was like, whoa, I was, surprised. And but to put it all on one sheet. And so I'm working on what I noticed by documenting it and going back and looking at numbers is that every year I icon sooner. And I capped sooner. Like I capped within the first 30 days of this last year. That's like, I'd never done that before. So I don't know how I'm going to ever top that. But it's like, I kept, milestone just growing and growing and beating that. And I'm a really competitive person, by the way. And I'm competing with myself, obviously. But what I did was, let me see, I lost my train of thought. By knowing your numbers. So I'm now working on something because I have so many referrals coming to me from different agents that I'm like, would it be just the coolest thing to say I iconed by all my referrals that I got from agents? I mean, that would be like the coolest thing to say. So I'm working on that because just even this, what is it? Yes, today's Friday. So Wednesday, I was in my office, and it's a good thing I have a standing desk because I never left my office. I had texts coming in, emails, phone calls, all these things coming in, and I'm standing there thinking like I'm a nurse in triage. I'm like, who do I answer first? I got it. There's just so much going on, and I'll give you a super quick example. I'm a mentor, so I have some mentees, and I have this gal that's looking at getting this client and in Oregon, and I have another gal in my team, and she posted on Facebook a coming soon in Washington that she was going to list next week. Well, this same agent had text messaged me earlier in the day, an Arizona listing, and she's not licensed there. And she's like, Julie, can you get me some information for my client on this? Because they're thinking about moving to Arizona. And I'm like, yeah, sure. So I had that on my list of things to do, right? Because it's in front of me. I got to dig up some info, call the agent, find out for her. And I get this message from my mentee saying, hey, that Facebook, did you see Shannon's Facebook post? Because I think it's perfect for my client. And because Lori's not licensed in Washington, and I am, and I'm her mentor, she's like, well, you're going to be the agent for them in Washington. So can you get more information from Shannon on this? And maybe we can preview it or see it, whatever. And so when I called Shannon, she goes, yeah. And the Arizona listing that I sent you is these clients thinking about moving to Arizona. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. That's just so crazy. And anyways, I had so many other things going. I ended up, my husband made dinner that night. Okay. That's how busy I was. That doesn't happen, you guys. So it was crazy. And I counted up, and I told my husband, I said, from April 5th to whatever day that was, so basically 2 weeks, I had received 12 referrals.
Wow.
Not only from agents, but from my clients as well. I mean, that's huge. That's a huge compliment to me that people would be like, Julie, I want you to represent so-and-so. I mean, that I've never had that. I'm just riding high right here, Mike.
That's a testament to who you are and your system. So I feel like referrals are the holy grail in real estate. That's really where everyone wants to be. Yeah. That's a lot less chasing. That's being the lighthouse where people are coming to you.
Yeah.
So you said you do pop buys and some other things.
Oh yeah.
Can we break down a little bit of your systems of how you do get those referrals besides just being a great agent and a great person, how you stay in touch with these people?
Absolutely. I mean, I actually, my birthday was February 6th. I had 20 pop by gifts that I was going to go pass around on my birthday because that fills my cup. You ask me what brings me joy, that does. So I make this little, I make it. I don't go buy it at a store. I go get the stuff. I have this craft room upstairs that's absolutely my favorite place. And I create this little pop by gift from the heart. And then I go and drop it off at their house. And most of the time I just ring the doorbell or, and, drop it off, take a picture if they're not home. And it's, you're just popping by. And, on that day, I actually just, the 19th, so 2 days ago, I just closed a transaction from a referral from that day. On February 6th, I had went to one of my clients' houses that I hadn't seen in a while, dropped off a pop by, and she reached back out to me via text and said, "Oh my gosh, you're so thoughtful," and sent me pictures of her kids with the, with whatever I had given. And she said, "I was just talking to my sister and my brother-in-law, and they're looking to buy their first home." And we just closed on it. That came from the 6th. But is that exactly why I give these pop-bys? No, it's you know what I teach agents is to come from the heart and always be there for your people. And you know what? You might never sell somebody in your sphere a house. You might never. They might be in their forever house. They never might need your services, but they can certainly refer you to somebody that they know. So you have to come at it like, well, I don't want to talk. I don't want to, a lot of people say, I don't want my friend to think I'm only friends with them so they can give me business. Well, first of all, if I need a new dentist, I want somebody that knows a dentist that's good and trusts. I want that referral. You want that person to give you a name of somebody they trust, so you don't have to go through the hardship of finding a bad one and then maybe finally a good one or whatever. You want those people to refer you because they trust you. And the way that they will know is you got to get it out on social media that you're no real estate. You got to talk to them, not in a stupid, awkward way, like yesterday at church, I was, in the group, in the social setting. I was talking about journaling because we talked about joy and all that kind of stuff. And I just said, I mentioned I was a real estate agent and then told them why I was journaling and how it affected my business. And one of the gals, after we were done, said, "I need your number because I'm going to need your help." And because of what I was sharing and how genuine I was, she felt comfortable asking me for that. So don't be a secret agent, and don't come at it like you're desperate or you need that. Just come from the heart and don't even talk about real estate to your friends or whatever, but let them know that you are, you're excited about what you're doing or whatever. And I don't know, that's how kind of it's taken off.
I think that is something that kind of drives me crazy. There's some people who have this, it's a marketing mindset or whatever. You have to always mention real estate all the time, every conversation. That's where you just become a walking billboard. You just have to be a human.
Yeah.
Yes, I think there's ways to remind people because they can forget. I think this happens a lot in families. Yeah. They just see you as little Billy or the person doing the thing. You have to remind them. I also do this thing. Oh, that's right. You do that thing with houses. But just being a person, life comes up. You will talk about real estate, and it's on you if you make it transactional. It's on you if you're being too pushy or whatever.
Awkward.
But so many agents. So, we mentioned the disc a little bit. You're a high D. What I found is there's a lot of agents who get in this business who are high S's, which are the opposite of high Ds. They don't have the same drive. And I want to talk about that in a minute. But they're so afraid of being pushy that they never want to talk about. So maybe the high S should stand for secret agent because they're scared to talk about being the agent where, what you brought up about people wanting referrals. So Netflix has its algorithm, and this was a long time ago, but they have their algorithm. It tells you, hey, Julie, based on what you saw, you may like this movie. Now, Reed Hastings, the guy who's one of the founders or investors of Netflix, kept ignoring his own algorithm. But when he saw his vice president had watched a movie and he posted on Facebook, he's like, oh, he watched it? Okay, I'll watch it. So here, so many of us are wanting to go do Facebook ads and whatever, which have their place, but there is nothing like somebody they know referring them. He listened to his friend more than his own algorithm that he was putting out there.
Yeah, that's a perfect example. 100%. And you don't be awkward about it. You know, people want to know what brings you joy, what fills your cup, or what you're doing or whatever. I mean, you can slide it in. And if you can't because you are socially awkward, then go study up and take some classes and practice in the mirror. I mean, being better. I mean, you know, if that's your shortcoming, right? But you can't be a secret agent. You can't. You have to let people know, but not in an awkward way. And how I basically started doing it was with Facebook videos of, I would talk about VA loans, or I would talk about how to stage your home, or how, you know, I would talk about interest rates, or, you know, whatever I would talk about. But just you want to stay top of mind. Right. So that's why I send a baseball magnet, or I drop by a pop-by gift. And in my pop-by gift, it says, love your favorite realtor. Right. And you just drop it off. And it's, you know, it's just people know that if you tell them that you're by referral or whatever, or maybe you're excited that you just got a referral. So then it kind of reminds them, oh yeah, but I don't know. There's all kinds of different ways to do it. But I think it's feeling comfortable in how you communicate and being authentic.
So besides pop buys, what other systems do you have or methods to keep people in your orbit so they don't fly away?
Yeah, like I text them. Hey, I call them.
Do you do it strategically, systematically?
No. No, I don't have that system down yet. It says who just popped into my mind today, and I'll send them a text and say hello, or I'll give them a phone call and say hello. But I do leverage. I have a couple of virtual assistants that help me with my marketing of, you know, editing videos, or you know, I'm a huge user of SendOut cards. So I can tell you some examples of SendOut cards where, you know, like I'll tell you this one that produced me like eight sales. And it was somebody that came to one of my open houses, asked me to come to see theirs, because they had bought it and they were fixing it up, and they fixed it up like a Joanna Gaines, you know, house. It was just gorgeous, and they were doing the work themselves because, you know, the husband was a contractor, and it was looking great. I actually asked them if I could take some pictures of their home, the way it was, and they said absolutely. They said that someday they'll be selling. And so I knew that I better keep in touch with them. And this was back in 2019. And I ended up sending them a SendOut card. I did the work, right? I went and did the work. I looked up the home of what they bought when they bought it and how it looked. And so on one part of the card, I sent them a card. One part showed the old version, and then the other part showed what they had done and refined, and I sent that to them. Then I friended them on Facebook, and I would, you know, Hank Avink has a system called 50, 20, 5, and 1, and it's, you know, basically 50 likes, you know, on Facebook, and then the 20 is 20 conversations, and then the or not conversation, 20 like
Comments.
comments, 20 comments, and then 5 conversations, and then one really meaningful conversation. And I did that. I stayed in touch. I was posting on his fishing or hunting or whatever stuff, stayed in touch with him. And they ended up calling me, asking me to come and look at their house because they were ready to sell. And so I ended up selling their home. Her mom and dad were selling 2 homes in Washington. And then she gave me 3 of her best friends here in Oregon that were buying or selling. And then so multiple, 8 transaction transpired from that one SendOut Card.
Wow.
That's like, that happened. And SendOut Cards are huge. So I like to look on Facebook, screenshot something that they put on there that's super important. And then I put it in a card and I comment on it. And it might be their kid winning some trophy. And they don't throw that card away. It has a picture of somebody they love and care about on it. And then on the back, it has my contact information. I've gone into homes and seen those cards framed on someone's wall. I mean, it's huge. So I do have if somebody that is watching your stuff reaches out and wants to know, about SendOut Cards, I can send them my link or whatever, so where they can get signed up. So it's huge.
I love that. So let's talk about drive. So you're a high D, we're pretty sure. You said, we talked a little bit early before.
I think so.
High Ds are self-motivated. They have a drive. There's also this thing about you can't do just nothing, right? Can you? Can you just sit and do nothing?
No.
So we have this thing where the way that I see it is we all fall to our level of comfort. And for high Ds, it is not comfortable in the least to do nothing. They have to be in action. They have to do things. But that's not true for the other behavioral profiles. What they need is a compelling vision of the future. Now, I know that you do vision boards, and we'll talk about that too as well, but I feel like for the people who don't have that immediate drive, they have to have that compelling future. So I'm very visual. This is Marty McFly, Back to the Future, right?
I love it. Yeah.
Reminds me, if I'm losing track, if I'm not where I am, I've lost track of my vision. That's also why that mountain vision is important. If you have a compelling vision, it's easier to do that ugly work, the boring work, the daily details. So let's take away the fact that you are just wired to always be doing something. You do have a compelling vision of the future, don't you?
I do.
So tell us about why, even though you do things, I think it's because you want direction. That's why I find with high Ds, they'll do stuff. You just have to point them in the right direction and they'll go do it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about why vision boards are important for you and how you mock up yours. So people who don't have that same drive can model what you do.
Yeah. So, vision boards are, I actually just started doing vision boards within the last couple of years, right? Since I've been with EXP. And they are super important because you do have to, put it down and see it. And again, that's why journaling and writing or whatever, but, I do have a goal. I do have a goal, and it's actually, I want to retire my husband. That's my goal. I want to retire my husband, and I'm working hard in order to do that. And it's kind of funny. My coach Hank, he actually's got. To be honest, I'm numbers. This is getting really vulnerable, Mike. Numbers for me. I'm a numbers girl, but I don't want to put down and say I have to sell X amount of homes this year in order to do X, Y, Z. I'm just going. I don't want to know, because maybe it's because I'm afraid of failing, or maybe it's because I'm afraid of where I really can go. I know myself, and when I put my mind to something, I'm going to do it. So for instance, when I hired Hank, I knew that I needed to be committed and I needed to be ready for his coaching, because he's tough. He calls me out every time, right? He can call my BS every time. And so I knew that I needed to be committed to doing the work. So I didn't want to reach out to him and ask him if he had room for a new coaching client until I knew that I would be committed to doing the work, because I didn't want to let him down and ruin a relationship that I really didn't really have, but in my head I did. So so like I've been in some classes like business planning classes where they're like, okay, let's figure out, how much you're going to make on this commission, so you can figure out how many deals, what are your expenses in your business, what are your expenses in your personal life. Now we got to break that down, how much you need to sell. I'm like, no, I don't want to know that. I don't want to know that. I just know I need to help more people, and I'll get everything I need. I just need to keep being authentic, being myself, doing the work, helping more people, and I'll get what I need. I don't want to know the specific number. It actually, and I'm not going to say it's because I'm afraid. I think it's because I'm afraid of how successful I could become. I don't know. I think I need counseling on it, probably therapy.
Is it because that you do not see people that way? You don't see people as numbers and you don't want to turn them into numbers? Is that maybe part of it?
No, nobody's ever said that before. Maybe, yeah.
Because the money, unfortunately, that's how we define success for a lot of people is, well, I made money. And for everything that I'm hearing from you is you are service oriented, and you never want to look at somebody as a dollar sign. You are looking at how many people you've helped. And so you had that one goal of $100,000, but that's because that's what you need to make life and all this work. And that's just decide, that's the way the world works.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you only said that once. And then you also had a breakdown, right?
Yeah.
So that also was that negative is like, I could see how you could connect those. Like, wait, all I did is focus on $100,000. I made a lot, great story, but I also collapsed. That's a little PTSD with that, is that didn't work for you. Yeah. So I'm guessing that next year, well, you had a coach and it was about the systems. And I'm betting with that coach, you talked about people, right?
Yeah.
And what you said was your goal for this year is to help 16 people.
Yeah. Look at you.
There is nowhere. Well, I'm a coach, so.
Yeah. You're unpacking so much today.
So there's nowhere else that you've mentioned except for that first year where you've mentioned money. You've mentioned people you're helping. You've mentioned the things that you're doing. This is why you went literally like this. That is a visceral response to, I don't want to talk about numbers because they don't matter to you the way that people are. You are going to do your work, and whatever's going to happen is going to happen. That's how you feel?
Yeah, you're just like, I'm getting the chills over here, Mike. This is crazy. Yeah. Nobody's ever said it that way. You're a good coach.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, so it's about the people for you. And you probably do not even like talking about money, do you?
No. And Hank, my coach, has actually said you need to be more bold. You need to give examples when you're talking to your mentees and your people, because they want to learn and grow from you. But it's at the same time, yeah, I've made a ton of money, but I also, you're right. That's not what it's about. That's not what it's about.
And you don't even really like talking about how many houses you've sold, have you? You like talking about how many people you've helped.
No. Yeah.
That's who you are. And this is why the go-giver stood out to you.
The go-giver, and there's the go-giver influencer, and there's the go-giver marriage, and there's,
I need to read the influencer. I haven't gotten that one yet.
The go-giver leader, right? Yeah, I got them all. They're good.
I don't think you need to talk about how much money you've made. I think you need just to say, I've helped these people, and these are situations I've helped. Those connect with people as well. So it's awesome. But that vision board, I bet there's no dollar signs on your vision board, right?
No.
So what are some of the things that you have on your vision board?
Actually,
if you care to share.
I used a SendOut Card. Okay, so my husband and I would love to buy a piece of property and build what do you call a barndominium or whatever they're called now? And so I actually went into SendOut Cards. I looked online. I found I found an example of a house that Mark and my husband Mark and I actually toured with a client who didn't end up buying it. And I wish we would have. But it was a couple of years ago. I actually had to ask him, what was the address of that house and where was it exactly? So I had to do some research, but I found it. I took some screenshots of the picture. I sent myself a card. I don't know. I don't know if you guys can see it with my screensaver on, but
Put it right in front of you. There you go. It shows.
That is what I've let me see that.
Oh no. Put it back down. Your body has to be in front of it. Otherwise, there you go. Perfect.
Okay. And then just a little. So anyway, I sent myself a card. The front of it looks like this. And that's visual, right? I sent myself a card. Now I hang it up and I can see that. I see it's a really cool piece of property. And so I one day I would love to build a little barndominium. Guess what my dad texted me this morning? He said, Mike Newman has a Measure 49 property, 2 parcels, 4 acres. He goes, give him a call. Just out of the blue, just today, right before our call here. So I'm like, okay, I'll call him today. I don't know if it'll lead to anything or whatever, but pretty cool.
That's awesome. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I thank you for taking an hour and a half with me. I appreciate that so much. This has been a blast. It is my whole thing with Roaring Agents, the training and coaching I do is to help those agents who are typically the high S's and show them the people who are doing it. I love that you're somebody who gives back so much and cares so much about being relational. A lot of high D's are not nearly as relational as the high S's want to be. So to see that somebody is like that is fantastic. I'm so glad that you're out there helping agents, showing that relational side. And if someone wants to reach out to you, what are the best ways to reach out to you?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm on, all the social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Julie Younger. I have a Google page, if you just Google my name. I paid to the Real Grader to make sure that I was, you Google Julie Younger and you're going to get all my stuff. So, yeah.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show. I'm sure I'll have you again.
Yes.
Thanks for taking that time.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.